Cambodia still faces other challenges like undeveloped infrastructure and power shortages. In Channy is the CEO of ALCTA Bank, Cambodia's biggest bank. Their success has been partly due to the strategy of reaching out to the poor rural areas.
They are like the other customer. They are entrepreneurial. They are smart business entrepreneur. They know how to do simple calculation, and they need to have access to finance.
Growth in Cambodia is on track to come in at 6 to 7% this year.
Live from London and New York, this is World Business Today.
Well, let's turn our focus now to a special series of CNN reports on Cambodia, a country that's taken a long time to recover from the horrors of the late 20th century. Following U.S. military intervention, civil war and the brutal dictatorship of the Khmer Rouge. But 2011 could mark a long turning point as the economy grows and incomes in Cambodia rise. The stock exchange opened in July, but that's kind of slightly on paper because the first traded companies could be listed by the end of this year. Quick look at the economy in Cambodia. GDP more than $11 billion last year, forecast to grow by 8.7%, nearly 9% this year. Inflation around 4%. Unemployment is also estimated to be low, but 30% of the population of Cambodia lives below the national poverty line. Cambodia's exports topped $5 billion in 2010. They include timber and rubber, but textiles are what dominate the economy. The garment industry employs more than 280,000 people. That's about 5% or 1 in 20 of the workforce. And the garment industry contributes more than 70% of Cambodia's exports, Maggie.
Well, Pauline Chu takes a look at the country's economic opportunities and the risks and rewards for investors.
Cambodia is more than just a cheap place to visit. It's on the radar for pioneering investors who see opportunities in a country that was destroyed 30 years ago by the Khmer Rouge and decades of civil war. Half the population is under the age of 25, and thousands of young people are looking for jobs. With labor cheaper than China and Vietnam, manufacturers are coming to Cambodia to cut costs and hedge the inflation risk. The economy is on track to grow between 6 to 7% this year.
This is the trading floor of the brand new Cambodian Stock Exchange. No traders yet, but they're hoping to list the first 2 companies by the end of this year.
The stock exchange opening has been delayed several times, and very few local companies are lining up to list because they don't satisfy accounting guidelines yet. But many investors say Cambodia's biggest bank, ALCTA, is the company to watch. In Channy is president and CEO. He says part of the bank's success is from reaching out to the rural poor. Nearly a third of Cambodians live under the poverty line, earning less than $1 per day.
They are smart business entrepreneur. They know how to do simple calculation, and they need to have access to finance.
The government is trying to boost economic growth by attracting more foreign investment.
Foreigners can come in and own 100% of a company. It has very liberal and pro-business investment laws here.
Still, there are issues with infrastructure. There is no national power grid. Some roads are still poorly maintained, and Transparency International ranks Cambodia 154 out of 178 countries for corruption.
There is an issue with corruption in Cambodia. There's also an issue and this is a concern for most investors in terms of dispute resolution. Can contracts be enforced?
Last month, the Cambodian government passed a strict new anti-corruption law where no government official can accept a gift or money. Much of today's investment is coming from within Asia. Chinese companies are building much-needed infrastructure for the country, but in some of these projects, critics complain not enough is being done to protect local landowners and the environment. The investment landscape in Cambodia is changing rapidly, attracting people who can stomach high risk in pursuit of high returns. Pauline Chu, Phnom Penh, Cambodia.